I bought Call of Duty's new pay-to-win audio so you don't have to. Yep, that's right, I've used my hard-earned YouTube dollars, and you should feel bad for me, to figure out whether or not this new audio system offered by Call of Duty genuinely gives people an advantage, or what the purpose of this brand new audio system is. If you feel bad for my wallet, you should leave a like on this, because this entire video is filled with testing that took a fairly good amount of time, and I'd also like to thank my channel member and moderator, High Lord of Terror, for helping me out with this test footage. For those of you who have been living under a rock, Call of Duty has completely redesigned its audio system, and I'll explain how later on in this video. But in the process of redesigning their audio system, they are now offering a purchasable audio pack that costs around $20, or here in the United Kingdom, £18. Naturally, this has caused some outrage, because we are talking about Call of Duty, which historically has had some pretty shoddy audio. And I'm pretty sure everybody can remember at least one time in Warzone where a parachute pulled or somebody landed next to you didn't come into your audio cues, or somebody using a zip line, or even things like helicopters just haven't existed in the audio space. So to go ahead and sell an audio pack for $20 seems like a bit of a head-spinning idea. But much to the hatred of my own wallet, I decided that this was worth testing. And I'm going to explain what this is, does it actually work, is it snake oil, and the results, including some very interesting footage that will illustrate the different types of audio. So Call of Duty's new audio system aims to provide spatial audio in Call of Duty, and this is a universal thing that they're doing for the entire game, regardless of what general setup you're using. The general idea being that they want better directional audio for you to be able to hear where your targets are coming from. And they've taken this a step further by offering an enhanced headphone mode, which, considering most people play with headphones, is a very good thing. And this is called Enhanced Headphone Mode, or HRTF. And HRTF stands for Head-Related Transfer Function. Now you might be wondering, well, what in sweet hell is head-related transfer function, and how does this affect audio in-game? Head-related transfer function effectively models how sound travels from a direction to your eardrum, factoring in contextual audio cues like the physical shape of your ear and head to bring about better directional audio. When you grow up from a kid to an adult, your brain subconsciously learns how to track directional audio based on all of the physical contexts of your own body, like your ear shape. So for those of you who are familiar with something like a fingerprint to access a password or a fingerprint to get into your banking app, there is such thing as an acoustic fingerprint. The entire shape of your ear generally comes into play as to how you perceive audio. The idea being that everybody has a different acoustic profile. In the past, video games like Call of Duty and pretty much any first-person shooter, or any video game really, has relied on a stereo audio space, which is the left ear and the right ear. And they usually use two different tools to give you the perception of directional audio. The first tool is interaural level, and this is how loud a sound is. So if a sound is louder in your left ear, your brain naturally assumes that that audio source is originating from your left. If it's louder in your right ear, you'll assume it's from the right. And the next one is interaural timing difference, and this is the distance at which that audio cue has arrived. So if a sound has reached your left ear faster than it's reached your right ear, in your brain you are subconsciously presuming that the audio source has originated from the left. Now, the problem with the stereo audio space and the problem with these two tools is that they produce a problem. In a stereo audio space that doesn't have spatial audio, if I were to play a sound directly in front of you, without extra visual context, it's difficult for your brain to decipher whether that sound is coming from in front of you, above you, or behind you. And this is where HRTF, or Head-Related Transfer Function, comes in. It aims to provide more context to those sound cues by accounting for things like the shape of your ear and the directionality of those audio cues, which means with HRTF, you should have a better spatial audio, meaning you should be able to more easily discern if something is coming from your left, your right, above, below, up or down. So universally, just as a default level, HRTF is not snake oil. This is genuinely something that allows game developers to create a more 3D audio space within their video games, and it's something that Call of Duty is actively doing in Black Ops 6 and will be introducing into Warzone in Season 1 of Black Ops 6. Now, Call of Duty have approached this process by providing two different versions of HRTF. They are offering a universal profile which is mixed to what they consider to be the Treyarch mix, and then they're also providing a personalized audio profile from a company called Embody. And this costs $20 or 18 Great British pounds. Now, I did some research into Embody to find out whether or not this was even something that made any sense, or if this was just straight up snake oil. Generally speaking, Embody are a company who aim to provide an effective personalized profile for HRTF by getting a 3D scan of your ear. Now, the process itself looks particularly quite janky and doesn't exactly give me any optimism, but this is an actual patented AI approach to try to build better audio. This company has a number of different spatial audio packs for games ranging from Cyberpunk to Final Fantasy. But in a game like Call of Duty, we are talking about audio that potentially could provide a competitive advantage. So whilst I found the process generally to be pretty janky, I was actually curious as to whether or not it was going to work. And more importantly, I was curious as to whether or not stereo versus HRTF universal versus HRTF personalized was going to promote any radical differences. Or if this was just a cheap attempt to make $20 that doesn't really change a huge amount. Now I'm going to play some clips, and in each clip you're going to see the stereo version, the HRTF universal version, and the HRTF personalized version. But it's worth remembering that this personalized profile has specifically been made for my ears allegedly. And before I show you these clips and these results, I will say there is a dramatic difference between stereo audio and having enhanced headphone mode enabled, and I would 100% recommend everybody has HRTF Universal enabled right now. But as for the personalized profile, I'll let you be the judge of that, whether there's any major audio differences. So those are all of the clips, and we tried to get a little bit of everything. Running inside a building, running outside a building, running on different textures, how much the general environment and a closed environment affects the audioscape, slamming and opening doors, mounting objects, firing a weapon, firing a suppressed weapon. The general idea was to get a good audioscape of how the game operates and different sound cues that you would expect in-game, and whether or not stereo and the various versions of HRTF actually made any difference. And I think we can all universally say that HRTF does make a big difference, and I would really recommend most people use it in terms of spatial audio. If you are using a headset of any delineation, you should be using HRTF. Now, if you're watching this video on a TV or on a gaming headset or on a non-particular type of headphones, you might be thinking that you didn't notice a huge difference. And that's probably because the audio you're using won't really be able to capitalize on what's being provided. Now, I recorded all of these tests and actually consumed the audio myself through Reference Studio headphones. I'm using the Biodynamic DT770 Pros. And Reference headphones do exactly what they say on the tin. They're meant to provide you an uninfluenced, unhinged version of the audio. They are not meant to come with any mixing biases, they're not meant to come with any changes to the general audio presence, they're just supposed to provide the audio signal as is. And from my experience, the HRTF experience at Universal genuinely made a substantial competitive difference to the audio that I perceived and the surroundings I perceived it in. It felt like footsteps were far clearer in terms of their location, and most critically, up and down audio was hugely improved. In the stereo space, you pretty much struggled to tell whether a sound was above or below you, which is why I showed you that clip with the visual context and without the visual context. But with HRTF Universal enabled, up and down audio was much easier to decipher. Granted, I wouldn't say it was perfect, but it was definitely audibly more noticeable. As for the personalized profile, after a couple of listen backs to the general audio cues I was receiving, I would say that they interestingly made mine a bit more bassy or maybe a bit more punchy surrounding certain audio cues. Now, whether or not I feel that's worth $20, I can't really say so. But it was interesting to note that my personalized profile did generally seem to have specifically a bigger baseline surrounding footstep audio cues and surrounding other audio cues like reloading weapons and busting through doors. So from a general standpoint of results, HRTF is real. It does make a genuine difference if you have the universal profile, but the personalized audio, I'm not entirely sure. I would need more time with it, probably a couple of days, to really concisely say whether or not I noticed the personalized difference, but from what I could tell, it was just a number of low frequencies like footsteps, like gun reloads, like busting through objects, that seemingly were boosted. Now granted, I don't actually think Embody's process is snake oil, and I don't think it's fake. And in fact, I've actually gone through a lot of their business profile and patents, and this is something they're genuinely hoping to achieve. And the idea of an acoustic fingerprint is not fake at all. Everybody, based on the size and shape of their ears, does perceive audio differently. The only difficulty I have with their claim to provide personalized audio is that they don't know what audio device I'm using. Granted, they can provide a HRTF profile, a spatial audio codec, which is what they're doing, that seems to be more personalized and tailored towards the shape of my ear. But they don't know if I'm using in-ear monitors, they don't know if I'm using over-ear headphones, they don't know if I'm using reference headphones or gaming headphones, so the idea that they can provide me a completely bespoke experience seems a little bit questionable. Especially considering some of their other integrations in the past have actually very specifically allowed you to choose the brand of headphone that you're using or headset and then adjust accordingly to that. That's not the case here in Call of Duty. And ultimately, if you were really bothered, you could enter the Art is War territory of changing different frequencies, which is effectively what he does. Isolating certain sounds, boosting certain sounds, and arguably, even with HRTF enabled, you do have the option to change those frequencies in Call of Duty without going to an outside app or to a third-party software. It is available in the accessibility options, and I could probably use the universal profile and boost some of those acoustic signatures ever so slightly to achieve the same results. But if you don't want to mess with all of that and you just want a one-stop shop solution that potentially does sound better, then maybe there's the case that this is just a very easy and convenient way of doing things. My general challenge about this pay-to-win audio is this, and this is my question and function to Call of Duty, if you will, and probably will answer all of your questions about whether or not this is worth it. If this personalized profile included the ability to select the brand of headphone I was using, I actually think it would be worth the $20 they're offering. At the moment, they're simply using a scan of your ear and not compensating for the type of audio device you're using. So if that was the case, then a one-stop shop solution that costs people $20 to get very personalized and custom audio at a level that isn't really achievable in any other video game sounds fairly fair. But at the moment, with the current setup that doesn't account for the audio device or type of headset that you're using, this does come across as 50-50 snake oil. The HRTF function did genuinely enhance my headphone experience on the universal profile, but didn't make hugely different changes on my personalized profile because it doesn't know what kind of headset I'm using to account for that. And this is with good studio reference headphones from Biodynamics. The reality for most gamers is that they're going to be using gaming headsets, and unfortunately for those of you who aren't aware of this, gaming headsets suck. Most of them have terrible audio balancing, most of them have terrible acoustic profiles, and most of them are not good for competitive gaming. So whilst universal HRTF may generally make most people with 50mm driver gaming headsets hear a little bit better in game, which is great to see and spatial audio generally is a step in the right direction, offering a personalized profile that doesn't factor in the acoustic profile of their own headset does feel like it's not worth your money. So that's it regarding this video of Call of Duty's pay-to-win audio. I don't necessarily think it's actually pay-to-win, and generally speaking, providing HRTF as a universal profile is a really good step in the right direction. But offering a personalized experience that isn't truly personalized isn't worth your money, and I highly recommend that you don't purchase this for the time being, at least until they're capable of accounting for the type of audio device that you are using. So folks, if you found this video useful, please drop a like, please consider subscribing. These videos take ample amount of testing, lots of script writing, and basically just require a lot of effort. And if you want to support that, please do drop a sub, drop a like, we're on the road to 200k, and you can become a channel member below by clicking join or providing a super thanks. These financial contributions help me do this testing, and it would be greatly appreciated. So folks, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.